Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're unpacking a story that, well, it might sound like a simple children's fable on the surface, but honestly, it actually holds an incredibly profound psychological lesson for all of us. We're going to dive into the tale of Dinky the donkey and see exactly what his journey teaches us about imposter syndrome, the heavy masks we all wear, and ultimately, genuine self-worth.
Let me ask you something right off the bat. Have you ever felt the need to pretend to be someone else just to be seen or respected? Take a second and really think about that. We live in a world that constantly demands we put our best, most impressive foot forward, right? So how often do we seek external validation by masking our true selves? How often do we put on a sort of disguise at work, in our social circles, or even with our own families, literally just to avoid feeling invisible? This is exactly where Dinky the donkey's story begins, and it's a feeling I think pretty much everyone can relate to.
Section 1. The Unseen Worker. To really get this, we have to ground the story in a universally painful human emotion, the feeling of being completely and utterly unappreciated. Picture this stark contrast on Dinky's farm. The farmer goes out every single morning with a basket full of treats. You've got Tommy the puppy getting a biscuit for every good paw. Moo the cat is getting warm milk and sweet words. Peter the horse gets his absolute favorite roasted horse gram and is treated like literal royalty. And then there's Dinky. No pats, no biscuits, zero kind words. Just a harsh command to hurry up because those heavy sacks aren't going to carry themselves. And to make matters worse, while Dinky is dragging these massive carts and getting blisters, the other animals are straight up mocking him. They're asking if he ever gets a day off or if he sleeps with his cart. The juxtaposition here is sharp and honestly, deeply unfair.
Dinky's breaking point is perfectly captured in his own thought. I wish, just once, someone looked at me the way they look at that silly puppy. You guys, this isn't just a donkey complaining about his 9-to-5. This is the sound of a breaking heart. The heavy burden of constant teasing, coupled with an absolute void of appreciation, finally just becomes way too much. It drives him to make a drastic choice. In deep sadness, before the sun is even up, Dinky quietly leaves the farm. He decides he'd rather face the terrifying, unknown dense jungle than stay in a place where he's treated as a joke.
Moving right along to Section 2, wearing the lion's mask.
So driven into the dense jungle by this desperation, things rapidly escalate for Dinky. He leaves the farm in sadness, wandering around, but then, hidden under a pile of dry leaves, he finds it. A massive, golden-brown lion skin. He throws it on, and it covers him entirely from head to hoof. Looking down into a puddle, he sees this majestic lion staring back. And just like that, it's like flipping a switch. He goes from being the farm's laughingstock to completely fooling the entire jungle. Rumors spread like wildfire about a mighty, majestic king returning to the forest. And this quickly escalates to the point where the animals decide to host a grand jungle music concert just to honor him.
Now, here is the crucial and, frankly, brilliant point. The jungle animals assumed he was a powerful, majestic king simply because he was silent and mysterious. Dinky didn't roar. He didn't make grand, sweeping speeches. And why? Because he was absolutely terrified. He was a donkey in a lion suit, desperately hoping nobody would look too closely. But the wild irony here is that Dinky's paralyzing fear of speaking out loud was completely misinterpreted by the other animals as this cool, royal confidence. They whisper that he was so powerful he didn't even need to roar, that just one stare from him would freeze you in your tracks. It's a fascinating look at how the masks we wear can manipulate the perceptions of others, often entirely by accident.
All right, Section 3. The Truth Revealed.
Picture the scene. The forest is alive with music and sparkling lights. Animals are bowing left and right, and then they ask their mighty new king to bless them with a royal song. Dinky is completely backed into a corner. He stands up, slowly clears his throat, and tries with all his might to roar. But what actually comes out? A loud, undeniable, ridiculous hee-ho! The crowd just gasps. Pure chaos ensues. "That's a donkey! We've been tricked!" As Dinky stumbles backward in a total panic, the heavy golden disguise just slips right off his back. The jig is entirely up.
And this brings us to one of the most poignant moments of the entire explainer. Dinky's standing there completely exposed. His mask is gone, and he confesses his true motives to this confused, angry crowd. He looks at them and says, "I just wanted to feel seen, even if just once." Think about the heartbreaking vulnerability in that single statement. He explains that he was never respected on the farm. He was constantly teased. He never got the hugs or the treats or the praise. He makes it clear he didn't put on the lion skin to be cruel or to rule over them with an iron fist. He wore it because he was absolutely starved for basic, fundamental acknowledgement.
Section 4. Discovering true inner beauty. Now, this vulnerable confession, it completely shifts the dynamic of the whole situation. Instead of attacking him or laughing at him, the jungle animals show immediate, genuine empathy. They tell him his story is sad, sure, but more importantly, they validate him. They actually define true self-worth for Dinky right then and there. They point out that he carries incredibly heavy loads without ever complaining, which makes him strong. He told them the absolute truth just now, which makes him honest. He stood up in front of a huge crowd of strangers, which makes him brave. They saw his genuine inner beauty. They recognized the exact virtues that matter far, far more than an intimidating disguise or a terrifying roar ever could.
The animals beautifully summarize this empowering realization for him. They say, "You may not roar, but you have courage in your heart. That's what truly matters." Dinky looks around, fully expecting faces filled with fear and anger, but instead, he's met with genuine kindness. For the first time in his entire life, he realizes he doesn't need a disguise to feel important. The animals even joke around, saying it was the funniest and bravest concert they'd ever seen. Dinky's heart feels incredibly light here because he's finally accepted, not for what he is pretending to be, but for who he authentically, truly is.
Finally, Section 5. The Return Home. When Dinky walks back onto that farm, he's walking tall, he's steady, and he is proud. His internal posture has completely changed, and you know what's amazing? Immediately, the external environment responds to it. The farmer, the guy who previously totally ignored him, rushes right over to apologize. He openly admits that Dinky has literally carried the whole farm through the seasons. The other animals, the ones who used to mock him relentlessly, apologize too. Even the chicken chimes in, admitting that while she clucks a whole lot, Dinky is the one working harder than any of them. Dinky's newfound confidence basically forces everyone around him to acknowledge his immense value. He realized he didn't need to roar like a lion. He just needed to truly believe that he mattered.
So what does this all mean for us? Well, first off, you absolutely do not have to pretend to be someone else to earn respect. The masks we wear, they are exhausting, they're heavy, and eventually they inevitably slip. Second, it's your innate traits, your kindness, your honesty, and your hard work that truly make you special. Inner beauty isn't loud or flashy, it's consistent. And finally, and I think this is absolutely crucial, the real you is more than enough. You do not need a lion's skin to be worthy of a place in this world. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. What lion skin are you wearing right now? Is it a facade of just having everything completely together? Is it pretending to be tougher, smarter, or maybe more cynical than you actually are? And more importantly, what would happen if you simply dropped the disguise? What if you trusted that your own inner beauty, your own authentic strengths, were enough to command the respect and love you deserve? Honestly, it's a terrifying thought to let the mask slip. But as Dinky the donkey showed us, it's also the only way to truly be seen. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, embrace who you are. The real you is majestic enough.